Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Debbie.
Lori.
Shabbat Shalom.
Hi, Debbie.
Shabbat Shalom. Sue,
Debbie,
Lori.
Oh, Debbie.
Yes,
Shabbat
you're
Shalom.
I see your eyes.
Good
Okay.
Shabbos, everyone. We are live on
There
Facebook
you
as well,
go.
so we're going to go ahead and get started and just wish each other a good Shabbos right now. You can wave or you can say good Shabbos, whatever your
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat
custom
Shalom.
is.
Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shalom lekulam. Let me go ahead and mute all of our folks just so when Cantor begins chanting, we don't get the feedback, and then we'll have a chance to unmute everyone after services, because the most important thing on Shabbat, of course, is our greetings. Greetings are extremely important in our tradition, and one of the most important things is when we greet someone. So when we greet someone, of course, we say shalom, we say shalom aleichem, they return alechem shalom. Certainly on our holidays, we have certain Chag Sameach, we have Shabbat Shalom. So greetings are really, really important. But what's great about Shabbat is Shabbat takes on the entity of a being itself, that the day itself is a day in which we enter into a relationship with, and how you behave in that relationship makes a difference. Like every relationship, if you bring a good attitude, is it not better? Of course it's better. If you bring a terrible attitude to a relationship, is the relationship difficult? 100%. So it's so too that the relationship that you have with Shabbat makes a difference in your life. And all of us agree that we should bring a pleasant attitude towards Shabbat. That's why we are commanded to have at least 3 meals. 3 meals on Shabbos. Everyone know that? You are commanded to have 3 meals on Shabbos. Commanded. It's not an option. Friday night, of course, the Suda of the afternoon meal after services, and then Suda Shlishi, the 3rd meal. And these are ways in which we develop a relationship with the day. But how do we start? We start off on page 16 with Shalom Aleichem, where we greet the day itself by pleasant feelings, by pleasantness. We wish you a Shabbat Shalom, Shalom Aleichem on page 16.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom Malachei Hashalom Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We turn now to page 38 with Lecha Dodi, and of course the final stanza. We stay seated through the whole hymn. It's a very different word. I wasn't looking for that word. That wasn't the word I wanted. Hymn sounded very off. Through the whole song. And the very last one, we rise to greet the Sabbath bride. And maybe you've seen people bow to the left, bow to the right, bow in front. That is a way to say again, as we're talking about the relationship. Every relationship is, well, any good relationship, I should say, is all encompassing. We give it with all of our hearts. So when we enter into the relationship with the Sabbath, we rise, we show respect on that last stanza, and we bow to the left, right, and center as though the Sabbath is everywhere. Just like every relationship, it should be with all of our heart. We continue with Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad. Ishmi'anu el hameuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad. L'shem ul tiferet v'litila. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitorari. Kivaure kumiori. Uri. Shir daberi. Kevod Adonai alike nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala. Gam b'simcha u'v'sachala. Toch emunei am segula. Boi chala. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Pnei Shabbat nekabela.
We turn now to page 50. A great miracle happened today. In case you had a chance to notice, the sun went down, and that's not one of those things where, thank you, Rabbi, for pointing out the obvious. It truly is a miracle that everything is as it is and continues. We can pretty much 99.99% place a bet that the sun will rise tomorrow. Everything has its place. Everything is in its order. And we take this moment for that gratitude on page 50 with Ma'ariv Aravi.
El Chai v'kayam. Amidim lo chaleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai. Amariv Arahavim.
On page 52, with an everlasting love, you have loved the house of Israel, teaching us your Torah, its mitzvot, laws, and judgments.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael amchavta. Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta. Alkein Adonai Eloheinu v'shachbeinu u'vekumeinu nasiach be'ukecha v'nizmach b'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem negei yomam v'layla ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem negei yomam v'layla ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem negei yomam v'layla ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem negei yomam v'layla ve'avatecha Asir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, bechol levavcha, uvechol nafshecha, uvechol meotecha, ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi metzavecha, hayom alevavecha, v'shinatam levanecha, v'dibarta bam. Beshivtecha b'veitecha uvelechtecha b'derech ushachbecha uvekumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'eineinecha uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha.
The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the children of Israel and bid them to make fringes on the corner of their garments throughout their generations, putting upon the fringes of each corner a thread of blue. When you look upon the fringes, you will be reminded of all the commandments of the Lord and obey them. You will not be led astray by the inclinations of your heart or by the attractions of your eyes. Thus will you be reminded to fulfill all my commandments and be consecrated to your God. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I, the Lord, am your God."
Leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Adonai Elohechem emet.
Traditionally, there were often two kiddushes when we stand up and we enter into Sabbath with a bit of wine or grape juice so we can say the bracha over the fruit of the vine. So many of us do this at home, but it was broken up into two different segments really on the evening service. So it was done at the synagogue and it was also done at home. And you can still see the remnants of when it was done at the synagogue on page 64 as we rise for Vishamru.
Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asod et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asod et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asod et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim Asa Adonai, et ha-shamayim, ve'et ha'aretz, veshamru, v'nei Yisrael, et ha-Shabbat, la'asod et ha-Shabbat, ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, veshamru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, La'asod et HaShabbat, L'dorotam berit olam.
As we turn now to page 68, we prepare for the Ma'ariv Amida for Shabbat. And of course, even our relationship with prayer is different on the Sabbath. Traditionally, the Shemona Esrei has 19 blessings that we give during the weekday that we ask and petition God for these blessings. But on the Sabbath, as you see on page starting on 68, there are only 7 brachas. 7, of course, is the traditional number, not only the days of the week, but the creation of Shabbat. So we focus even our prayers differently on this day. Cantor will lead us as we meditate into this moment of silent prayer and reflection.
Anananananana Adonai, Ananananana Satai Tivta, Ananananana Ufi Agid Tehilatecha.
Grant abundant and lasting peace to your people Israel and to all who dwell on earth. For you are the supreme sovereign for all peace. May it please you to bless your people Israel in every season and at every hour with your peace. Praised are you, O Lord, giver of peace to your people Israel.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon L'chol ha-shalom, ki atahu melech Adon, l'chol ha-shalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim le'olam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol eit u'b'chol sha'a b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam.
We offer a Misha Berach now for those who are in need of healing spiritually or mentally or physically. We ask that if you could put the name in the chat so that way the community can see who it is that we are offering prayers for. I do believe that prayers matter the energy we put out, the thoughts we put out, and the prayers that we put out do help in healing and help in changing the world. Misha Berach.
Misha Berach Avotenu Makor HaBracha Limotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Makor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
May God send a speedy recovery for those in need, a refuah shlema, a refuah to nefesh, a refuah to guf, a complete healing, a healing of body, and a healing of spirit. We all say Amen. I've been blessed by far, and I have had many jobs in my life. Not many, but I've had enough. I've been around the block a few times. And one of my former employers, or one of my, bosses, so to speak, she always said she hated surprises. But when she made that statement, the idea that she didn't like surprises is that she didn't want to be blindsided. She didn't want to be surprised if something was happening and she didn't have an opportunity to prepare for it. It's usually when somebody says they don't like surprises, they don't like the negatives. Because if I were to walk into her office and surprise her with a $2.5 million check for the organization, I'm sure she would have loved that surprise. So what does it mean to be surprised? I also had another boss, a rabbi that I worked for, who was passionate about passion, loved passion, understood that passion was something that really got him going. But it was interesting because, as we know, sometimes passion can borderline on almost suffering. Anyone that's been around somebody that's been so passionate at times, that passion can spill over into many other parts of their life. And that passion can create a lot of suffering for those that they are around. So it's not as though passion and surprises are things that are good or bad. They are. There's always positive characteristics and negative characteristics that come with these two parts, two sides of the same coin. I wanted to speak, though, for just a minute about this week's Torah portion that really dives into this idea of passion, and really what I'm calling about surprises is predictability. Because isn't surprises that we want to understand and know? We don't want to be surprised. We want great predictability, while at the same time we want the passion and the instability that it comes with. This week's Torah portion discusses Jacob and his family, and Jacob and his family are very, very passionate and very, very, at times, predictable. We know that Jacob, where he comes from, that he is at times a trickster. We know that. He is going to create confusion. We know that. We can predict that that is going to happen. We, as the readers of this week's Torah portion, understand that Lavan, his father-in-law, is going to trick him. It's going to create a situation where we don't know what's going to come. It is a great surprise, if you remember the story, that at the very last moment, Jacob Jacob is surprised to find out that Rachel was replaced by Leah at the very last moment. We all remember that famous story. We remember the famous story where Rachel hides the idols from her father Laban, and he is surprised to find out later on that these are the way his children are treating him. What's the point to all this? The point to all of this is that we as people learn from this week's Torah portion something very, very important. That life is a series of, at times, surprises. It is predictable at times, but we can never, as human beings, truly, truly know what is to come next. We live in a world in which we try at times to really cling on to something, but it never is truly predictable. And the passions that we bring at times can bring great suffering, which isn't always predictable as well. We learn from the very last pasuk of this week's Torah portion how it is that we should live. If you remember, the Torah portion starts off with Jacob having a dream, the dream of the ladder going up and down in the angels. Do we all remember that famous story? And it also ends, the very last pasuk in this Torah portion ends with just that he lays down again and has another dream or whatever. We're not exactly sure what's going on, but that it is a place in which he understands that God is there as well. That God begins at the beginning where you are and ends where you are. In other words, you can have a life in which you can try and be predictable and know everything that's going to come, but you know that that's not going to happen. You can have a life of great passions at times, but then you understand that those passions can create other elements that aren't so desirable. So what is the solution? Be where you are. Not to forget that God and your community is right where you are right now. If you are anywhere else right now, then you are out of sync. If you are anywhere else but in this Zoom service or on Facebook, wherever you are out of sync. If you are 10 minutes from now concerned about what is going to be coming on the TV set at 8 o'clock, you are not right here, right now. We have to work hard to be where we are so that we can and then truly understand the best part of being alive is to be in communion with God, our community, and to develop that relationship in the here and the now. I want to wish you a Shabbat Shalom. I want us to all be grateful this week. That is a tool to work on as we enter into Thanksgiving weekend. Just like going to the gym or eating right or doing anything, gratitude is a muscle that we have to work. And so we work hard to get to that attitude of gratitude. We continue with Aleinu on page 118.
Please rise if you're so inclined. Aleinu l'shaveach l'adon hakol, l'teit gedula leotzer breshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'chol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, Lifnei melech malchei hamelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu notei shamayim ve'oser haaretz, Umoshav yikaro b'shamayim imha'al, Ushchinatu zo, begavhei meromim, Hu Eloheinu ein od, Emet Malkeinu efes zulato, Kakatu betorato, Veyarata hayom v'hashevota elevavecha, Ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim, v'shamayim imha, ve'al haaretz, mitachat ein od.
For sovereignty is yours until all eternity. You will reign in glory. As it is written in your Torah, the Lord shall reign forever and ever. And it has been foretold, the Lord shall be sovereign over all this earth. On that day, the Lord shall be one and shall be acclaimed as one.
Kakatuv b'Toratecha, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, v'ne'emar, v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol ha'aretz, Bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, Ushemo echad.
May the memories which we cherish and lovingly now recall inspire us so to live that we too may bequeath the heritage of precious memories to those whom we shall leave behind. In tribute to our departed, may we enrich the lives we touch. May we share and preserve the faith which our mourners will now affirm as they rise to sanctify God's name. In the hallowed words, the Kaddish, the mourner's Kaddish, can be found on page 124. In this week's Yortzeit, Gail Levy, sister-in-law of Sharon Charo, Anna Bloom, mother of Jay Bloom, Herbert Charo, father of Mark Charo, Mindy Flancer Lou, daughter of Harriet Flancer, Anna Shakova, grandmother of Olga Kusid, Chaim Tratner, father of Ken Tratner, Roger Brown, brother of Rosalie Goldenberg, Jack Goldenberg, father-in-law of Rosalie Goldenberg. Again, the mourner's Kaddish can be found on page 124. Yitkadal v'yikadash shemei rabba, ve'amat divra chirutei ve'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, bagala v'zman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabbam v'rach le'olam ulmei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom ben Romav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael Bimru, amen. May God, who makes harmony and peace in the heights, grant us harmony and peace here for us, for all Israel and all humankind. And let us all say, amen. Before we do Kiddush, which can be found on page 90, I want to wish you all, obviously, a Shabbat Shalom, a Yasher Koach to you, Cantor Cohen, for leading us this evening. And this is a great weekend of gratitude, a great weekend of thankfulness. Thankfulness is also about giving. So as we move into the coming weeks, this is a time in which we start to think about how we increase light, meaning increase what we give to the world. As Hanukkah approaches very, very quickly, we turn our attention to increasing light, increasing kindness, increasing love, and increasing the gifts that we give out of kindness and love to the world. We rise for the Kiddush, again, that can be found on page 90. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'avav ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila l'mikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amin v'shabat kodshecha v'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabat. Shabbat shalom l'chaim l'kulam. Let me unmute everyone so we have a chance to wish each other a Shabbat Shalom, or you can unmute yourself, whatever is quicker. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.